Hello, and greetings from the ministry. I'd like to take a moment to announce that I just recorded the entire video with my microphone off. Yep, that just happened. So, today we're going to be talking about and continuing our conversation on the brain, emotions, what does it mean to be human? I'm Dr. Clay. Doc's fine. Clay's fine. Anything that rhymes with Clay. I so many times have responded to hey or anything that reminds me of Clay or rhymes with it. It's just ridiculous. I think of the Happy Gilmore. I think Happy Gilmore when he's making all the jokes about, hey, I just made down by the bay. It's like every single one of those I've responded to on accident. And it just going back to the last episode of like, ooh, made an error in my emotional response to this thing. I didn't hear, and therefore the wrong passenger took the wheel, and it's generally like, oh, hi. And people look at me like, he said day. What are you talking about? I'm Clay. I will definitely respond to anything that ends in an AY. Dr. Carl Friston. Variational free energy principle. This is a fantastic study and theory, I suppose, that came out 2 decades ago, and I'm only getting it recently. But anyway, it is really good, and it goes in towards a lot of tendencies towards how the brain works. I'm not going to go over it in detail, but it does plug in well with what we're talking about today. So what it essentially says is a neural system, an intelligent system will have a tendency towards wanting, quote unquote wanting. It doesn't actually want anything. It's just a neural system, but it will move towards less free energy, aka if there is a prediction that the neural state will have, and then the action happens afterwards and it is predicted, that's low energy. If the predicted scenario doesn't happen, that means there's a lot of free energy. Neural energy, sensational energy, like literally sensations like from our eyes, ears. It will come in and say, oh, that wasn't expected. It creates a lot of unexpected energy to happen, and any neural system, the brain, will tend towards not wanting that. Wants to be efficient. And again, want is kind of a misnomer, but that's the tendency that the neural system will go towards. So the idea is that any brain that exists over time will prefer to lower the free energy. I want to start us off with Mr. Carl's, Dr. Friston's free energy principle there. So going in from that'll tie in just in a second. So we're going to go into what the brain can do in just any given situation, some of the tendencies that minds have in the real world, and try to break them down into the most common ones. There's obviously going to be some variations on a lot of this, but that's the intention of today. So the brain can only do one of 3 things in any given situation that it knows about. So if the brain has some set of predictions, the mind has, hey, this is what's going on, and then there is free energy happens, a lot of high free energy, aka the prediction was not met. Brain can do one of several things. It can change reality to better fit its expectation. I walk around, I expect things to go fine, I bust my shin into the coffee table, wasn't expected, lots of free energy and pain, and I can change reality to better fit my expectations. I can get rid of the coffee table if I want to. I can change my, really ingrain that into my my body. It's like, oh, don't go into the kitchen. That kitchen bad. I guess that would be sort of there's a line here. Let me finish off the rest of these first. So you can change, the mind can change reality to better fit itself. It can change the self to better fit reality. And then it can ignore the discrepancy. So those are the three things it can do. We're really looking at mind versus brain body here. That's one of the hard things about this is that I kicked the table, I bust my shin up. I can change my habit of moving around. Cool, that would be sort of the changing of self. Or it could be, I'm such an idiot, I always do this. That's not changing self. That would be casting the blame on somebody external from the mind, which is the body, the self. So it can use this as a weird thing. But if you think about it from what we talked about as emotions earlier, those three pieces, the body, the mind, the concepts, and the environment. The mind can change reality, and under this, what I'm trying to get at here is like one of the things that can change is the body rather than change itself. It can be like, stupid body, oh, I'm always doing this. I'm going right back into not changing the mind. I always do this. I'm always a screw up. I always have bad luck. I'm such an idiot, etc. All those pessimistic and self-degradations that people get into. Oh, people think about them when I introduce this concept as, oh, well, those are changing self rather than changing reality. It's like, no. Those are also changing reality to fit the mind. The mind is the preconceived notions. Changing of those preconceived notions is not on the brain's favorite list of favorite things to do. It doesn't want to do that for various reasons. Free energy is one of the ones that will help drive that change, but we get into these loops really quickly. It takes a lot of energy to change self. It would much rather not do this if there is a lower common denominator formula, part, passenger, that can take the wheel and explain that away. I'm walking along, everything's fine, I run into the table, I can own it and change my attitude, like, hey, why did I expect to be able to walk through here all fine? There's a table there. I should really pay more attention, put more energy towards doing this. That would be changing of the self. Switching would be, oh, I'm just going to change passengers and say, I'm always an idiot. I'm always unlucky. The world's a bad place. Whatever pessimism. That's why this happened. Brain doesn't have to do anything other than change passengers. One person drives. Nope. Now you drive. And now this thought pattern, this mind doesn't have to change. It just switched formulas. And the brain would far prefer to do that. Because that's like, it's almost like a cheat code. Like, you get the free energy principle to go down, and you don't actually have to change yourself. You get perpetually busted up shins when you do that, but that's why psychologists have a job. It's essentially what it is. And because our brains don't like doing this. Anyway, and the last thing that the brain can do, the mind can do, is ignore the discrepancy. It's like, nope, not going to do that right now. And that's actually fairly useful. Like, that's actually a really that's a good thing. Because there's so many predictions that are just, who cares? Like, they're not useful for the thing that we're doing, especially if the thing we're doing is very critical. Battle, war. I don't need to focus on, oh, he didn't call me by the right name, or he used some sort of slur on me. My comrades accidentally touched my butt. Like, none of that even matters. I'm going to ignore all of that stuff because there's somebody shooting at me, and these guys actually do have my back. That's the thing we're focusing on here. So, it can also do very negative things. We can really ignore the discrepancy in a very negative way. essentially, the brain can do one of three things. It can ignore, it can change reality to fit itself. It can change self to fit reality, or it can ignore the discrepancy. Those are the three primary tools that the brain can do. The brain also tends towards efficiency. This shouldn't be too difficult to get, but there's two areas of efficiency here. There's the evolutionary, metabolic, like literal save gas kind of efficiency. Like, no, I want to make this as easy as possible moving forward and burn as few amount of calories as possible, because this thing is a gas guzzler. It takes a lot of calories. The human mind, just minds in general, the more compute, the more energy it takes. So it really wants to be efficient. But there's the other set of efficiency, which is the free energy efficiency. It really wants to have predictions be correct, because that will actually burn the least amount of fuel as well. Like when there's a lot of inefficiency, as far as my predictions go, as far as my mind and my emotions go towards what is going on, then there's going to be that's the other level of efficiency. So we've got this math that's going to come in, and there's going to be a balance between those two somewhere, between how many calories I'm going to burn to work in the real world here, versus how many calories I'm going to burn to make better formulas at predicting the world. There's going to be a balance between those. There's got to be some sort of calculus that's going to happen where those two line up. And there's no answer to that. Every time it's a moving target. So that's efficiency. The brain prefers control, strongly prefers control. This goes into that same free energy, but it wants to be in the driver's. It wants its own expectations to be the ones that win out. And when I say want, it's not like I want this. Yes, I got it. I got my new toy. It wants expectations to be correct, even if they're negative expectations. Here's one. The world's a great place. World is good. That's my expectation. Bad thing happens. That's me. I must have been the one to cause that. A lot of control on that. You see that a lot with PTSD and trauma, especially childhood trauma. That there's this black and white kind of thinking where they somehow gives them the control over the scenario, over their well-being, and over reality. World is a good place. That's the assumption, that expectation, that childhood wonder kind of thing, black and white thinking. But there's a bad thing that happens, objectively bad. How does the brain kind of weigh this together? I'm the factor here. Must have been me, must have been something that this body did that actually caused this thing to happen. There we go. That satisfies a lot of those criteria. It gives control. It's sort of efficient. It gives me a path moving forward. To prevent bad things from happening again, I have to do whatever it is my brain came up with. I have to be good. I have to, this is kind of the karma cycle, or you see this a lot with perfectionism. Bad thing happens because I wasn't perfect is sort of where that goes. Brain, a little bit of rabbit hole there. Brain prefers control. The mind is inherently egotistical. Just because it has to be. I can only see through my own eyes, ever. I can only hear through my own senses, ever. I can only relive my own memories, ever. Egotistical. Like, that's essentially what that means. We have to be egotistical. There has to be a tendency towards this. The counter for a social creature like we are is all the social skills, all our, we talked about emotions being very communicative to others, as like a group, so we can create an emotional language really quickly. It's amazing. We also have mirror neurons. Like we can put ourselves in other people's shoes and run that program in our brains to understand what's going on for another person. This is like really, we're incredibly good at this. It's kind of a counter to the ego. But the ego can turn that on and say, hey, look how good I did this. I know exactly how you're feeling, and I'm going to not listen to what you're actually saying. Logical, rational. The brain is inherently, evolutionarily logical, rational. It doesn't mean it's always logical, rational. It doesn't mean all its formulas are the unified field formula. It's going to be the perfect one. No, it's like, hey, this worked. It was rational. It worked here. Why not try it over here too? And that is rational and efficient. And sometimes will make sense, but it runs the risk of increasing errors when we do that. When we're using what worked yesterday, today's sort of similar. I'll try it again. Rather than develop a whole new program or a whole new formula, a whole new part to deal with this. The brain would prefer not to do that. So, but it is logical. It understands that there is a sense of rationality to things, just in general. Like this, and it's incredibly evolutionarily efficient. Like, hey, I'm hungry. Hunger's bad. I was hungry for days. Like, okay, let me start storing up. I don't want hunger to happen again. I'm going to predict into the future and try to be logical. If I don't have any food, I'll probably be hungry afterwards. AKA farming. This is where all storing nuts for the winter happens. Like we can start predicting these types of things, even if it's not necessarily on the same conscious level as what humans can do. All those things are intelligent things to do, rational things to do. Whether it's where it's coming from or not, is it coming from a spreadsheet and like a famous mathematician worrying about this, or is it coming from like a squirrel's instinctual brain that, hey, I should bury my nuts so I can have some things to eat? Doesn't matter. They're both logical, just different levels of it. The brain is also the human mind is also hierarchical. This goes with ego. When you combine egotistical stuff with the brain's, and the very useful part of the brain is put things in boxes, categorize stuff. Categorizing stuff in boxes is very efficient. It's very fast. If I look at a tiger and it's running at me, I don't want to go, is that a threat? Is that even a tiger? We can't tell from this angle. It's coming at, there's a furry thing with teeth coming at me. We don't want to analyze that. We want to be like, box, threat, quick, react. That's very efficient as far as making the thing that we are survive the savannah. That's what it's trying to do. It has to be fast. We touch a thing that's hot, like a stove or whatever, and this one's amazing. It doesn't even have to get all the way up to the brain. The actual brain, like the one in our skull, to actually react and pull the hand back. It can actually do it just by going to the spine and back out. It can start pulling ourselves back. Like these actions are self-preservation is really powerful, really fast, and that's just part of what the thing that we are. So putting things in boxes, these hierarchies are very essential to being human. Whether you like, this is Dr. Jordan Peterson, his analogy on the lobster hierarchies and just how we are this way, all the way down into like mammalians and like not even mammalians, like just life. Lobsters living at the bottom of the ocean are hierarchical. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we just are. What is better or not? That's totally what puts somebody higher than on the hierarchy than another one. Okay, that can totally be argued. I have wider socks than you, therefore I'm better. Or I'm more humble than you. It's like, that's weird. It's still a hierarchy. I have more money than you. I'm taller than you. I'm smarter than you. I'm fill in the blank than you. We're always trying to do this. And even the people who claim that they're trying to throw down some sort of hierarchy generally are doing so to replace it with their own hierarchy. You think about any taking down of a government or a movement or whatever, you can guarantee that they're going to put themselves higher on the hierarchy. The point of it is, I want to be higher on this hierarchy. It is good as a group of neural systems to be higher on the totem pole. It's safer. We have people or beings below us. It's not necessarily even humans. It's like we have beings below us in the group that I can rely on, that'll look up to me by this because they're doing the same thing, looking at the world through a hierarchical. Could be I have a bigger claw, right? And that's like, ooh, he has a bigger claw. And then there could be those other people like, oh, well, claw size actually doesn't matter. And it's, how intellectually, how much prowess you have on the intellectual philosophical debate battleground. Like, ooh, that's the thing. It's like, it's the same thing. It's still a hierarchy. You're still putting things in boxes. You're still trying to go up. So you combine ego with putting things in boxes, essentially, and how useful that is, and mix it a little bit of rationality in there and saying, hey, I want an easy life with lots of good mates, lots of food, ease, and safety. Okay, logical, hierarchical, and egotistical. Well, I mean, let me move up on the totem pole here. Let me promote a totem pole that I'm actually higher on as well. Let me promote this way of living and viewing the world that will actually put me higher on the totem pole. Bring in every bureaucraticized religion there is. I say bureaucrat. That's that piece. So there are some religions that don't self-promote, that don't say we are the best, that don't say we have the one true word of God. Not necessarily that that's bad, but that is what I'm talking about. That is the bureaucracy that is saying, hey, we are the best, and by joining us, you will also be higher, and I'm also higher than you because I'm the one who told you this whole thing. It's not necessarily bad. It's just a thing that the minds will do in hierarchies. And this is not just religions. I mean, this is political thinking. This is capitalists are doing this all the time. And look at how big my stuff is. Or Protestants, like, ooh, look how much money I've actually made by not showing you how much money I've made, and being really hardworking still, and I'm living well below my means. How much you don't have to work, the progressive types things. I mean, there's so many, I don't even want to get political with it, but there's so many examples out there of hierarchies. And here's a new totem pole structure, everyone. Less is the one. When people do that, there's a motivation behind it. The motivation behind it is egotistical, logical, and wants control. It's like that this type of thing happens is bad from lots of people's perspectives, and it sort of is. Like, I can see that, but it's also there's nothing you can do about it, essentially. I mean, in the sense of you can't eradicate it because it's so fundamental. It's going to keep cropping up over here and over there because we have to see through our own eyes. We're very logical. We prefer control, and through that becomes hierarchy, and then you mix in our own rational ego thing in there and what preference for control. We're going to sometimes, rather than go up the existing totem pole, we're going to say, no, we want a new totem pole in here and go up that one. There's always going to be a totem pole is what I'm trying to say. And take it or leave it. I'm not here to say which one's right or which one's wrong or that, but there is always going to be a tendency towards the creation of totem poles and or the elevation of self up various totem poles. This has been a very totem pole heavy episode, brought to you by the ministry, of course. I didn't get $1 every time I said totem pole, I promise. It's been great chatting with you guys. Talk to you next time.